today I'm gathering all of my handy book resources to do a test. This was based on a question that one of my Wonder Bundler students had asked me, and her question was, can you do a fully shaded face using just one color or one value of marker? And I was like, well, the only way to really find out is to try it. Now I know the answer is yes, but I really just want to do this demo live so you can see how much shading you actually can achieve with just one color with alcohol markers, and what the drawbacks are of only using one color, and what the advantages are of only using one color, and then we'll talk about what other options you can have. So these are the resources I have compiled to do this demonstration for you. Number one, we have a page out of my How to Draw Fun Fab Faces. This is the shading guide. Actually, if you want to grab this, I have this available as a standalone PDF to help you with shading patterns. So if you're ever talking about shading a face, there's realistic shading patterns that occur on the human face, and this, I've boiled it down to this very simple chart so you can out the gate do some illustrations, even if it's just off the top of your head, and know where to place accurate shading. So this is available as a freebie. That's page 55 from that book. What other resources am I working with? Well, I'm going to be using my Skin Tone Secrets book, because this one is all about, again, it breaks down these different shading patterns more in like a more granular layer. So we're doing 1, 2, 3 layers at a time for all of the skin tone colors. Okay, so this is also nice. So say we'll use just this one for today's demo, but like in case you want to try these other to deepen your shadows, to have increased depth in your faces, this will help us choose which one would be next, because I'm going to be doing that as well too. So that's Skin Tone Secrets. And then this is brand new, hot off the press. This is my actual proof copy. This big band doesn't actually show up. This is so new. It's not even published at the time of recording this, but this is where these faces that I'm going to be practicing come from. I simply use these, print them out on cardstock from my color printer, and then I can do lots and lots of tests without always having to draw everything over from scratch from the beginning. So and that's new. It's called Swatch Copy Color, and these faces are literally, so there's areas that you can swatch. Just give you a quick flip through. There's 15 different face designs, so you can swatch your colors in here, which is just so important, but I also want to make it fun. And then there's different faces, so you get 2 big ones of each face design. You get 4 small ones, because again, swatch, 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 but let's have fun while we're doing it and practice our shading. And then it repeats with all these different face designs. So that is where these came from. So handy. A lot of these times when I create books and publish books, I think that will be number 20. I do it because I want them for me. I'm like, I want these resources at my fingertips. And so I just give access to you by publishing them out. It's really as simple as that. So let's grab, I want to do some darker tones, and I also want to do some, I want to do a darker face, and I want to do a lighter face, because I think it also depends on what, who you're drawing, right? Okay, so here we're going to do one. So the test is, can you do full shading with just one color? So this is an Ohuhu. This is YR148, which is thin persimmon. Okay. This is cardstock. Paper is super important with alcohol markers, like super duper important. It's important because, for so many reasons. If you use a super absorbent paper, cardstock is not my favorite to be working on, but it's what my printer will accept when I'm making copies. So my favorite is Bristol, because it is smooth, and regular cardstock kind of lacks the smoothness, and smooth is important because alcohol markers are super streaky, as you'll see in a minute. So I'm just gonna do one little coat here. Now the downside, I already know the answer to this question, but I'll just explain it. The downside to using only one color is because you really need the one lightest color to help you smooth out all your drawing lines. One shade color is really streaky, as you'll see in a second. So I'm gonna do my best to like do this. Oh, that's her earring. Don't color that, Karen. You'll see in a minute. Like, so if you're depending on your second and third passes of marker, why can't I color in the lines? To give you shading, that means you have to use the first coat really sparingly. And unfortunately, the result is gonna be streaks. But I'm just gonna forge ahead with the experiment. There's still some things that we can test. Okay, so there's layer 1 of this girl. So, okay, oh, where's my shading guide? Karen, get your shading guide out. Okay, let's pick, I actually like looking at it from the Skin Tone Secrets book because it gives you the 1, 2, 3 on how to do them all. The little baby. We'll do this one. So in this section, these are broken by section. So everything in this section is coming, the light source is coming from the top, right, or left. You can always flip them. So there's the same. Those are the real life varieties. So say we'll do shading like the baby. So these are all the ones in this section. You can see the shading all falls to the left and then a little bit on the right. So you can follow any of these because they're all the same examples of shading. So, well, duh, actually, what I should do, because this girl is in the book too. This is where these originated from. So I'll just follow along. So we have under her hairline, along the left side of her eye, right this side, so everything along the left basically, but we're leaving untouched her little cheek and this whole right side of her face. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. So layer 2, same color. What's the effect? So there's always a shadow that the hair creates as it lays on the face. Okay. Yeah, so there's examples for a bunch of different designs in that Skin Tone Secrets book. Okay, and then this, and then this. And then this side of the neck. All right, so that's layer 2. All right, so as you can see, that works great. Okay, only one color. Cool, cool, cool. So you can see step 3 is to go even, this normally you would grab a third shade and do that in the darkest areas. So, which is basically every time you go darker, you are making the shading area smaller. So if I was gonna do my third coat of the same color for the experiment, we're gonna just do the same area, but we're gonna make it a little bit smaller to see if that works. Now, a thing to note about alcohol markers is that when they dry, they get lighter as they dry. So I'll just give that one a second. And actually, while I wait for those to dry, I will move over to my white chick. I will pull a color for her. Let's see, how about, oh, color, we'll make her super light. One of my all-time boring colors, R19, barely beige. I'll do the same shading pattern just to be consistent. So where is she in my book? There we go, here. Okay, so same, we'll just do the same one for shits and giggles just to keep it consistent. So it looks a little bit different on her. So we're gonna go, oh, whoops, that's the second layer. Well, I guess that is actually, if you're, that's an option I didn't consider, which is if you're doing a super pale person, you could leave the white of the paper as your first layer. and then only shade the shading, right, with like this color. You could do the shading and just leave the white of your paper. So that's an option if you were scared of shading. Although I don't know why you guys are scared of shading. It's so fun. All right, so this is layer 1. I'm trying really hard not to go over any other areas to make an unintended layer 2. Okay, so that's layer 1. So layer 2, first to follow the shading pattern, I already kind of had a line here. Whoops. Okay, and then we're gonna go here, left side of the nose, between the nose and the mouth. And then we swath under the left eye. And then here, and then there's a ring around the chin. And what's fun about memorizing these shading areas is that after a while you don't need that shading guide anymore. You just know where they are. Oh, I forgot to do a little bit on this side. I didn't do that on my chick over here either. I'll do that really quick. You don't have to, but I do like a little bit of it. It just adds to the realism a little. Okay, so that's layer 2. So I can definitely see that, but remember the ink dries a little bit lighter, so we have to really come back. And then the layer 3, again, is smaller. It's a smaller area than the second one. Will we even be able to detect it? I don't even know. Okay, and I will let that dry. So let's go have a gander at this girly. So I can definitely see layer 2, which is good. I don't see layer 3 though. I can see the marks because remember if you only use one layer, it's super streaky. In person, I can detect the third layer just a tiny little bit. I can see that it's a little bit darker there. What I really detect is that those areas are super well blended. There's no streaks in the third layer whatsoever. And this is circling back to where we started, which was like the first layer is always really streaky. So I guess the follow-up question is, if we want to obliterate the streaks that you inevitably get with markers, can you do 2 layers for your base coat to get rid of the streaks, because you have to do at least 2 layers, and will those previous multiple layers still show up as being shaded, or will they just get lost? So that is the question. Now, some of you might be thinking about, well, what if you just use the watercolor blender? So I guess that is another test that we could do. I don't use the colorless blender because I think the pigments need to mix in each other, but let's try it right now. What do I know? Only published a million books with drawing with markers. But what the heck? I'm open. Let's try it. Maybe this will completely obliterate the streaks and preserve the shading. And that will solve the people's problems who have with using multiple colors for shading. Maybe this will work. Maybe this is the solution. All right, so I put it all this into it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna also do another layer if vertical, because that's what I would do if I was working with a different color, with the same color to blend or lighter. I would go vertical strokes to try to decrease the shading there. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry and blend, and then we'll go assess this one. So same thing, I can definitely see the shaded regions. And for this color, the streaking on layer 1 is not too bad. It really looks, it's not too bad. So maybe, all right, let's see how this is working. It's the colorless, she's still really streaky. This is why I never use the colorless blender, is it doesn't ever really, to me, it doesn't do anything. It wets everything, and it lightens her whole face, but it didn't do anything for the streaking. I still see the streaking this way, and in fact, I see new streaking in vertical lines as well. Whereas had I used the original color again, I don't think I would have. So that's the only drawback of only using one color. You're not able to use the same color to eliminate the streakings. However, we could try another workaround, which is using a lighter shade. So what if I picked the lighter shade from the YR148 and did that big sweep to see if that would eliminate the streaking, but still have pigments so that you're not just getting more streaking. It's this fine line. We have to really balance this out. So here is Warm Gray 0 is probably the one shade that's lighter than this Cheeky Poo Poo. That's R19. Oh, sorry, that is R19. Okay, that's my starting color. And this is R18. So this is a lighter. And again, because say like streaking is always a problem, which normally it always is. To eliminate streaking, but hopefully not mess with the shading, you could add a lighter color than your base. Lighter color will blend to eliminate your streaking of your first layer, but maybe not disrupt the shading. Oh no, I think my ink is drying, so I'm getting streaks because this is a drying marker. Yeah, this is super dry, so that's not gonna help. All right, but however, I think that did work. It was successful because it doesn't disrupt the dark shading that you had from layer 2 of your first color. And you can also go back and repeat. Now let's see if we add a third. Oh, sorry, this would be a fourth layer of the same color, first color. And just see if we can make those pop a little bit more. It doesn't really make them punch out any much more. All right, now this poor girl has been hatcheted by the colorless blender, hence the reason I don't use it. So what can we do to salvage her? Well, immediately I would swipe another, unfortunately, I would go back and have to repeat this whole process to fix her now. Yeah, she looks terrible. So we'll see if having to correct this, see how much that colorless blender lightened everything too? It's like, ugh, we're like having to start back at the drawing board. Another reason I prefer Bristol to cardstock, although cardstock is fine, is that because there's sort of there's like almost like a plastic coat over Bristol paper, it can handle more layers than just cardstock. And cardstock is also a lot more absorbent because it's sort of cottony material. All right, I'm gonna see if I can do another layer and kind of get back the shading that I had from before. And the answer is I think we can. But I think we kind of max out at 2 layers. All right, so that's not so bad. She's still super streaky because of all the stupid colorless blender. Oh, I'm like so mad about that. Again, why I do not use the colorless blender. So I think we can, I think the answer is yes. We can totally use just one color for shading if you want it to be super subtle. And if you're going to do so, I would advise you to do 2 layers over the whole face to eliminate streaking. And then just go in and do 1 additional layer for the light shading that you'll have on either side. It won't be super pronounced, but at least it will still work. I think you kind of max out very quickly, like this will never get darker. Alternatively, another even better idea would be to do 1 color, whatever color, it does literally whatever your base color is. I think this is the preferred method if you're gonna do very subtle shading. You have your base color as layer 1. Then for the blending layer, you're gonna switch. So say we do this one, going in this brush strokes. Okay, this would be layer 1. Layer 2, and I want to help you guys out. I don't want you guys to have super streaky face drawings. It's yucky looking. So for layer 2, you're going to take a lighter layer. You're going to do a lighter color. And you can use my Skin Tone Secrets book to help you with the who's. If you want to use your own alcohol marker brands and colors, just swatch them all and pick one shade lighter for layer 2, and you want to go up and down. Those two together will give you your lovely blended skin tones. And then if you're super scared, okay, and so layer 2 is lighter. This is lighter, but not the colorless blender. This is just one shade lighter. This is your action plan for success, okay, people? Layer 3 is your shading layer. Layer 3 for Scaredy-Pants shaders. You're gonna go back to your first color, your original color for layer 3, and you're gonna put them just in the shaded regions. Okay, my friends, just in the shaded region. So layer 1 and 3 are the same color, and then you're just using one shade lighter to be your blending friend. Okay, so hot tips. I hope you got a ton out of this lesson. You can do the same thing when you're doing hair. You would use the same one color as the base coat. You could use a second shade that's lighter to even out any streaking, and then go back to the first color and repeat in specific areas to get just a little bit of darker shading. But you see how very subtle it is. But honestly, very subtle is better than nothing. So this, if you're scared, this is a great way to do timid shading on your girls. If you want to take your shading a step further and have a little bit more depth, I teach you how to do it in this book. And I also have a ton of videos I will link in this playlist. Click it on the screen and you can have a whole set of additional videos to help you improve your coloring and shading with your alcohol markers. I'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.